The Silver Crown Mountain. I'm getting closer. Someone's over there. I have to get to them.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the closing chapter of Lara's adventure that started with the 2013 reboot and aims to wrap up the Trinity storyline for once and for all. While it's not a hard requirement to have played the previous two installments, you'll appreciate the storyline a lot more if you have. If you haven't and aren't planning to, I'd at least recommend to read up on the storyline on one of the fan wikis. Shadow of the Tomb Raider takes place a few months after the events in Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Lara is at the peak of her abilities. She's resourceful, efficient, and incredibly ruthless when it comes to combat. She has tracked down Trinity, the organization she holds responsible for the death of her father, to South America, and the game kicks off with the discovery of an ancient artifact that Lara is hell-bent on keeping out of Trinity's hands. However, when Lara takes the artifact for safekeeping, she accidentally sets off the apocalypse. But let's be honest, who hasn't done that once or twice in their life? The following set piece is not just incredibly intense from a gameplay perspective, but it does a great job of shoving your face into the consequences of your actions. The opening chapter in Shadow of the Tomb Raider does an incredible job in not just raising the stakes of your adventure, but it also gives the main characters a platform to shine. The lead villain, Dr. Dominguez, has a very solid introduction into the franchise, and instead of being painted as the bad guy immediately, he actually seems more sympathetic than Lara. His presence in the game almost functions as the other side of the coin to Lara's story, as both the hero and the antagonist are driven by what they think is right. Don't worry though, his henchmen are all very obvious bad guys, and the games make sure you know that by starting off several side quests with executing some of the locals. One of the highlights of the game is the relation between Lara and her trusted companion Jonah, who makes another return in this game. Lara's actions truly seem to weigh on him, and there are times where their friendship almost comes to a breaking point, which make for some very cool and very well acted cutscenes. The cast, the story and the backstory all add some delicious flavor to the game's main activity, which is of course raiding tombs. If you had a bit of a laugh about the slogan, "Become the Tomb Raider," this game has a message for you. If you thought you have raided tombs before, wait what we have in store for you this time. Shadow of the Tomb Raider has so much to discover that in my time with the game I feel I barely scratched the surface of it. No matter where you go in the jungle, there seems to be something to do. Whether it's storylines, new crypts to discover, tombs or hidden treasure, the game will definitely keep you busy for a while. You'll also get several hub towns this time around, with the main event being Paititi, an untouched civilization that functions as a set piece for most of the storyline. A super cool feature here is that you can have the villagers speak in either English or in their native language supported by subtitles. In the same options menu, you'll find several other accessibility features such as the removal of button meshing, color options for the subtitles, and several sensory features. The coolest feature, however, is the ability to split up the difficulty settings between combat, puzzles, and traversal, which allows you to really play any way you like it. The developers recommend playing on the normal setting, especially the first time around, as that is how the AI and puzzles are intended. The combat itself is very satisfying, especially if you are a big fan of the stealth approach. There are many ways to kill your enemies this time around, and each and every method seems to be more brutal than ever before. Lara is an absolute beast, and if you have a hard time with violence and gore, I actually recommend taking the guns blazing approach. While it might sound weird, the stealth kills are very up close and personal, which might not be for everyone. The puzzles are challenging enough and often rely on some trial and error, where error usually results in Lara's death. While the death scenes are still intense, the camera doesn't linger on them as much as in the previous games. Every death does come with a load screen, which does take quite a bit on consoles. Traversal is exactly how you remember it, but for those who want to be fully immersed and are annoyed by every important ledge being painted white, you can now turn it off completely. It's a cool feature, but does make the game incredibly challenging. New in Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a focus on underwater levels, which adds another layer of depth to the game. Another new skill this time is the ability to rappel down cliffs, which gives the level some downward verticality that the previous games lacked. The game has a good set of trophies and achievements, which includes one for completing it on hard mode, so it would be wise to pay attention during your first playthrough or you'll have an actual hard time. Once you have beaten the game, there are several new Game Plus options that will keep you entertained for quite some time. Additional content is already in the works, and of course you can already purchase a season pass. Shadow of the Tomb Raider has everything and more that you might have enjoyed in the previous titles and has improved on almost everything. However, you can immediately tell that a lot of extra care was put on the characters and on the storyline, and they absolutely stand out, which is quite the achievement in a game that is best known for exploration and combat. While the story takes a few leaps here and there, this is by far the best Lara Croft we have ever seen. If you like the Tomb Raider games, don't sleep on this one. It's awesome.
How'd you get so deep into the jungle? You lose your tour group or something?